Did iRacing's latest tyre model update fix the physics in the simulator and finally cure iRacing of the dreaded flash heating death slide that's plagued iRacing since it first launched in 2007? What else has changed in the update? What's good? What's bad? What should you expect? Find out by watching this video. To be able to unsubscribe when we say something that you disagree with, sadly you also have to be a subscriber. So subscribe so you're ready for the unsubscribe moments. There'll be plenty of them in this video. And if you're feeling generous, you can click the like button. I don't think it does anything, but it's there to be clicked. Thank you to all our channel members, supporters and people that allow us to do what we do, which I'm not quite sure what it is, but we're here, so thank you very much. No! No, they haven't! They still have not fixed the main issue with the simulator. The cars still drive like iRacing cars. Now, in fairness, they have reduced the issue. And you do get, with the new GT3 car tyre changes, more of an opportunity to catch a vehicle, and the GT3 cars are generally a lot more forgiving. Though this is also at the expense of the immediacy of the vehicles, and the tyres now seem less peaky and a bit more vague. You'll also notice the tyres seem to be a little bit more sloppy when they're colder, and then they get better as they warm up, but that's more pronounced and more noticeable. But it is fundamentally still iRacing. You need to drive in that preemptive bobsled manner. If you go from this to LMU, you'll find that LMU's cars are a lot more snappy, a lot more peaky, a lot more responsive, and closer to that kind of snapping countersteer behaviour that you'll see in any onboard video of a car, and closer to Automobilista 1, original Assetto Corsa, and actual realistic handling driving simulators. Fortunately though, it's not all bad. I found the changes to the F4 car allow for you to have quite a bit more controllable slip, and the F4 car now drives a lot more similar to the F4 car in the original Assetto Corsa, be that the original Tatus, which is an older F4 car, or the RSS F4 car, which is supposed to be the same F4 car that's in iRacing. It's a lot closer, which is really great, but again, it's at the expense of that initial bitiness. It seems like the controllability of the tyres and the ability to hold slides more has come at an expense of the peakiness of the tyre and the bitey aspect of the tyre, which I think is the aspect that a lot of iRacers probably really enjoy. Like, when you get used to iRacing, as long as you're driving under the limit and you haven't heated the surface of the tyre, the cars can feel quite hooked up, and they get into the corner, you can get on the throttle, it feels like you've got super mega grip. And that can be quite an enjoyable feeling with the sim, regardless of what's realistic or not. And I think that's now diminished, but the benefit is you can counter steer a lot more, hold slides for longer, and not have those surprise uncatchable slides occur. Basically, the F4 car and even the Indy car are, I'd say, a lot easier to drive, or be a lot easier to drive for most people. I'm not sure how that grip is in slip and how productive that is. We'll have to do races with people to really see how that compares, but I think it's quite interesting. And I'd definitely say those of you that are fans of the Formula Ford but never really got on with the F4 car, you'll probably much more enjoy the F4 car. And I'd also say those of you that are more fans of Race Room, Assetto Corsa, Automobilista 1, you'll probably enjoy those the F4 car, and some of the other cars have had some updates to them a lot more now than you would have in the past. So, all round, I would say the GT3 cars, the F4 cars, this Indy car, the cars that have been updated, are less frustrating to drive, more accommodating, and less traditionally iRacing-y. So that's great. That's a good, positive improvement. Something to be happy about in the world of sim racing. Now, outside of those handling changes and improvements. You do have much better rain graphics now. It's much more obvious when the road is wet and where the dry line is, where the wet line is. Some of the cars also have had updated tyres in terms of the wet tyres, especially the GT3 cars. Actually, from our testing, week 13 testing, the wet driving seems a bit easier in some ways as well, a bit more predictable, or the way the surface variations are seems a bit improved. It's still really kind of a bit sloppy and drawn out and not as snappy as I think you would expect with if it was a more realistic simulator. But again, just less frustrating in general. And especially the visuals are a really big improvement. You could do wet races before and you really couldn't tell if the track was particularly wet or to what degree. So having that be more emphasised is really fantastic. And I think will just make wet racing a lot more fun. Especially mildly wet track racing. I think when a track's saturated and it's absolutely pouring it down as if it's a British summer, that's always just terrible and not fun anyway. But when you've got those little bits of drizzle, track's a little bit wet, it's marginal, you need to be able to see what state the track's in, and it's the subtle stuff, and that'll be more fun and more obvious now. So that's a good job by iRacing. I know, far too positive, guys. Put me in the dustbin. Now, a feature I really loved is if you use a Moser wheel, the sim can now output at the higher frequency and also has the sound and physics-based additional layer of effects. And why I love this is that when you first load the game up with your Moser wheel, your wheel will explode or give you instantaneous RSI. That's fantastic. If you want to turn that off, just go to the miscellaneous tab in the iRacing options and turn off all LFE effects. You really don't need them. If you've got a Fanatec wheel, they've now added full force to the sim. So that's a bit like the Logitech True Farce stuff. Again, absolutely useless noise. Some people might like it. It's not all useless noise. Like, it can be nice to have some of those vibrations come through your wheel and some additional things for road texture or engine or gear clunks and stuff. But it's definitely a bit gimmicky and also kind of stupid that it has to be sort of a full force, true force, Moser whatever force, LFE. It's like, why, guys? GTR Evolution, which came out decades ago, you could just adjust these for any wheel without there having to be a specific thing. And again, these sorts of vibrations are actually largely just cheesy things that you will turn off. Most people will turn off, because if you've got an okay wheelbase, anything over 5 Newton meters or a T300 or better, you should be able to feel the road details and pertinent load changes for tyre grip. That's what's important, and you should be able to feel that. You don't need all these gimmicky things. And when it comes to vibrations, you're much better off using tactile transducers. Google my £150 motion rig video, but you can add transducers to your sim rig and they will do vibrations so much better than what can come through a wheel, and will feel natural and be way more immersive. I'm not totally against true force, full force, whatever force, forced upon you force. But yeah, it's just a shame it's overcomplicating things and just a bit of a gimmick. But at least it's now supported in iRacing, so that's good, isn't it? So that's nice. That's another feature there for you. I did notice with the update there's a load of random crashing and just weird performance issues. I think these will likely be addressed by the end of week 13. This is quite common during week 13 to have user interface problems and God knows what crashes. They tend to get fixed by the end of week 13. That's what week 13 is for. And of course, you'll be glad to know that iRacing have added another car, which has probably killed the fixed Ferrari series, because nobody will want to buy the new Ferrari to do the new fixed Ferrari challenge races. So well done, iRacing's managed to kill another popular thing. But that's what iRacing do. They killed the Radical, they killed the Skippy, and now they've killed the fixed Ferrari. RIP. So when you're buying iRacing stuff, be aware that you are indeed spending a lot more than you would normally pay for content in any other video game, but that's actually part of the simulation. Motorsport is about spending money, it's not about driving. But be aware, when you do buy something, it might arbitrarily get discontinued or die, and it might die within weeks of it coming out. As I say, the Radical SR10 not only killed the SR8, but then the SR10 itself also died. So, yeah, you know, be aware of that when you're buying things. Not to say that you can't get good value from iRacing. I have loads of fun recording voice chat and making techno remixes. And you do get good competitive racing in iRacing at any time of the day in cars that are not in other simulators. Formula Ford, F4. You've now got GT3 and LMU, but you know, Spec Racer 4 is really fun to drive, and you get really nice. The track models in iRacing look really nice. Nice laser scan detailed tracks. The Nordschleifer in iRacing is great, and there's lots of good stuff to do in iRacing, but you just got to be aware that it is like a bizarre golf club with its strange rules and management that are seemingly drunk when they're making all their decisions. So, there you go. At the risk of sounding too positive, I will say it's a pretty good update. It's still iRacing, still drives like iRacing. I'd be a bit sceptical of some of the hype that's been surrounding this update, but it is good fun. I think it'll be more accessible for most people to drive, and I think the racing will be slightly better following on from this update, though there's still a lot that iRacing really do need to address. And one last time, see this spin here? Looks like you just lost control, you noob driver. I'm not disagreeing, I am a noob driver, but we go up the inside, put a bit of load on the tyres on braking, so they're getting warm, but generally this should be perfectly fine. And they've turned off as soon as you get on the throttle in a way that's completely uncatchable and totally undrivable. Also, generally little warning in the force feedback unless you're using Marvin's force feedback app. But yeah, these situations still arise in everything in this sim, even the fixed content. So you're still going to have to be rote memorising what you can and can't do. You're still going to have to be tiptoeing. You're going to have to be very careful. Some people would argue that's more exciting, more fun and more engaging. Other people would argue that's just not how you always have to drive a real car, and that sims like, as I say, Live for Speed, Assetto Corsa 1, Richard Burns Rally, those sims didn't have those problems. But there you go. That is this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know where I'm wrong. Make sure you have unsubscribed so you can subscribe and then unsubscribe in the next video. But until the next one, happy tea drinking, take care, and goodbye.